My name's Michael, and for nearly 3 years, I thought I had life figured out with Alice. She wasn't like anyone I'd ever met. Sharp, quick on her feet, always thinking 10 moves ahead. We first crossed paths at a tech conference in Denver. She was doing PR for some fledgling startup, and I was there working on network security. I liked her energy. She liked my calm. We weren't perfect, but we made something that worked. A decent apartment, steady jobs. To everyone else, we were solid. Dinner parties, weekend getaways, wine nights, laughing at memes. It all looked good from the outside, but there were things, little things that never quite sat right. Alice didn't like talking about her past. Any mention of her ex, Jonah, and she'd go quiet. He's ancient history, she told me once, dismissing him with a flick of her hand. Don't waste your time on that loser. I let it go. Maybe I shouldn't have. There were times she drifted. Late nights at meetings, coming home smelling like lobby bars and too much perfume. I told myself not to be suspicious, not to be that guy. We even did double dates with friends like Jason and Leah. Power couple right here. Jason would toast and I'd smile, playing the part. Why rock the boat? Then she suggested we take a trip to Portugal. We've been grinding too hard, Michael. Let's get away. Just us. It sounded perfect. Sun, wine, time away from the daily noise. I booked our flights that night, hoping it would be the reset we needed. But if I'd known what was coming, I wouldn't have spent a dime. Lisbon felt like a dream when we landed. Cobbled streets, the smell of roasted chestnuts, music spilling out from cafes. Alice lit up, snapping photos, dragging me from one charming alley to another. For a while, I let myself breathe. We rode the old yellow trams, ate grilled sardines by the water, stayed up drinking cheap wine, and talking like we used to. Every time she smiled at me from across the table, I thought maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe this trip really was a fix. But a few days in, the cracks started showing again. We were sitting outside a little cafe near a plaza when her phone buzzed. She glanced down, smiled, nodded at me, and quickly replied. "Who's that?" I asked, trying to sound casual, sipping my coffee. "Work," she said, flipping the phone face down. Later, while getting ready for a father concert, I caught her texting again, half-dressed in front of the mirror, angling the screen away. "Who are you messaging?" I asked. She let out a laugh. "Too light, too practiced. Don't be jealous, Michael. It's boring business talk." But I saw how she kept checking her phone all night, slipping it under the table, barely present. I tried to ignore it. We were on vacation after all. But the unease wouldn't let go. That night, lying beside her as she slept, her phone clutched tight like it might float away. I stared at the ceiling. I didn't have answers, but my gut already knew. I just didn't want to admit it. The next morning, she was up and dressed before I even opened my eyes. Brushing her hair in the mirror, voice too cheerful. "I'm going to go check out that art district. You sleeping? You look beat. You sure you don't want company?" I offered, watching her closely. She chuckled, strapping her bag across her shoulder. "You hate art galleries. I'll be quick." She kissed my forehead like I was some tired kid and walked out. As soon as the door clicked shut, I grabbed my phone. Before the trip, we'd set up a location-sharing app. "Safety first," she'd said. I opened it and her location pinged. She wasn't heading to the art district. She was moving toward the waterfront. I hesitated for all of 5 seconds before pulling on my sneakers and heading out. The tram ride felt like it took hours. My jaw clenched with every rattle of the tracks. When I got close, I ducked into a souvenir shop and checked the map again. Her pin had stopped at a small dockside cafe. I crossed the street carefully, keeping my head down, and there she was, sitting outside, leaning in close to a man with sunbow-bleached hair and a worn leather jacket. Laughing, touching his wrist like it was the most natural thing. I knew him immediately. Jonah, the so-called loser, the ancient history. I froze. What was he even doing here? She'd never said a word. They were too caught up in their conversation to notice me, wrapped up in some memory I didn't share. I thought about walking up, making a scene, but I didn't. I backed into the shadows, pulled out my phone, and took a few pictures from across the street. By the time I got back to the hotel, Alice was already there, lounging on the bed like nothing had happened, scrolling through Instagram. "Good art?" I asked, my voice even. She smiled. "Beautiful stuff. You would have hated it." I smiled back. That was the moment I started planning my way out. That night, I barely slept. Alice curled up beside me like she always did, mumbling in her dreams. But I was wide awake, staring at the ceiling, my chest tight with everything I now knew. By morning, the decision was made. I did what I had to do. While she was in the shower, I unlocked her phone. We'd always known each other's passcodes. Part of that whole trust thing, right? I wasn't proud of it, but I needed answers. And deep down, I already knew what I'd find. Took maybe 30 seconds to confirm everything. Messages from Jonah, dozens. Some were recent, others months old. "Can't wait to see you again." This time was different. I booked the restaurant she loved. Her replies made my stomach drop. "I miss you." Counting the days. Michael's clueless. That was it. She hadn't just run into him by chance. She orchestrated all of it. The trip wasn't for us. It was cover. A way to bring Jonah into Portugal, too. New country, same lies. They planned to keep sneaking around while I played the fool. I forwarded the entire conversation to myself. Every message, every timestamp, then deleted the chat from her phone, making it look untouched. No reason to let her know I caught on. Not yet. When Alice stepped out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, she saw me sitting there with her phone still in my hand. "You good?" she asked, smiling. I smiled back, placing her phone on the nightstand. "Yeah, just thinking we should do something different today. Something fun." She lit up. Finally, I was loosening up. I smiled again, but inside I was already gone. While she rambled through breakfast plans, I quietly booked an early one-way flight home. I called the hotel, too. Said I had to cut the trip short for emergency family reasons. Everything felt surreal, but my face stayed calm. That night, after she drifted off beside me, I packed in silence. Passport, charger, wallet, just the essentials. Before leaving, I sat at the little desk near the window and scribbled a note. "Alice, I know. I saw everything. Enjoy Lisbon. You won't hear from me again. Michael." I folded it, left it on her pillow, and walked out without looking back. The flight home was quiet. I stared out the window the entire time, feeling lighter with every mile between me and Lisbon. No texts, no calls. I blocked her before I even boarded. By the time I landed in Chicago, my phone was lighting up with unknown numbers, random texts, missed calls. I ignored them all. I had a plan. First, I drained our joint accounts, every cent into my private one. Then, I called a locksmith and changed the locks before I even dropped my bags. Next, I boxed up everything she owned, clothes, shoes, makeup, and left the boxes outside the door. I locked up, sat down, and listened to the silence. 2 days later, she came back. I heard her knock, then the jingle of keys, then louder banging when she realized her key didn't work. Michael opened the door. Her voice cracked. I didn't move, just sat there in the dark, watching through the peephole as she saw the boxes. She froze, stared, hands shaking, then pounded harder, yelling my name. I didn't respond. Eventually, she left. The next morning, Jason called. "Dude," he said, skipping small talk. "What the hell happened in Portugal? What did Alice tell you?" I asked, looking out the window. "She's freaking out. Said you abandoned her after some huge fight, crying to Leah, posting weird stuff online. It's messy." I almost laughed. She forgot to mention she flew halfway around the world to cheat on me. Jason went silent. I sent him the screenshots. A minute later, his reply buzzed in, "Jesus Christ." Word got around fast. Leah, Jason, a few others pulled away from Alice. Some reached out to apologize. Others just cut ties. I wasn't angry, just exhausted. But Alice didn't stop. She posted cryptic quotes about betrayal, heartbreak, narcissists. She texted from different numbers, switching between begging and screaming like a broken switch. Then my boss called. "Just a heads up," he said. "Someone sent HR a weird anonymous email about you. Crazy stuff. We're not taking it seriously, but figured you should know." I didn't need to ask who sent it. That was the final straw. The next morning, I sat across from a lawyer. "Daniel," I told him everything. The cheating, the harassment, the fake emails. He listened carefully, then laid out the plan, a cease and desist letter. By the end of the day, Alice was served at her office. Plain envelope dropped on her desk. No room for her to spin it. The letter was clear. Stop contacting me. Stop lying about me or face legal consequences. 2 days of silence passed. Then one last message from an unknown number. "You think you're so smart. You're pathetic. I hope you're happy being alone." I blocked it. That was the end. Friends later told me Alice had a breakdown after getting served. She tried twisting the story again, but no one bought it anymore. The truth had already spoken for itself. People distanced themselves. Her web of lies unraveled on its own. It was never about revenge. I just wanted her gone from my life, my mind, my world. And for the first time in months, I finally slept through the night. The best part, I didn't have to destroy her. I just had to walk away and let the truth do the work. Almost a year has passed. I haven't seen her since. Heard she moved in with Jonah. Tried to make it work. Didn't. Same cycle, different man. He kicked her out a few months later. Eventually, she left the state. Probably chasing some kind of reset. I didn't care. By then, I'd started over. New apartment, smaller circle, real friends. I spent weekends hiking, fixing up my motorcycle, finally breathing again. Looking back, I realized leaving quietly was the smartest thing I ever did. No arguments, no final words, just the facts, staring her in the face. Betrayal stops hurting once you stop trying to fix broken people. Once you see the manipulation and chaos for what it is, you stop carrying it. Sometimes I think about that morning in Lisbon, her laughing in the sun like nothing was wrong. It was never real. The real reset wasn't that trip. It was me walking away and never looking back.